Good afternoon, everyone. Sit down, please. First of all, a welcome to the headmaster, senior prefects, head of school, and of course, junior school. Welcome to everyone watching at home, on their smartphones, tablets, computers. Hope you're not driving whilst you're watching. This afternoon's assembly is going to be taken in a moment by Form 3B, which is my form, and it's going to be stage managed by Jimmy Medea, who will be keeping an eye on the various video links this afternoon. There'll be a number of speakers, and we're going to pick up on a topic that the headmaster wrote to all staff, housemasters, teachers, everyone connected with the Buckswood community recently about the importance of keeping up on world events. There is so much happening all over the world at the moment in various areas of the world that sometimes, because we live within a small international community here, we sometimes forget to have a look at the newspapers and the news on the television in order to find out what is happening in Greece and the Ukraine and in other parts of the world. So 3B thought that this afternoon they would pick up on this theme in order to illustrate the importance of knowing what is going on in the wider world beyond the world of Buckswood. And in order to do this, they have put together an assembly this afternoon which focuses on that very point. So I'm now going to hand over to Jimmy Medea to do the official introduction, and then he will go back to his control console, and you will hear from a number of speakers from 3B this afternoon. Jimmy.
Good evening, Headmaster, Junior School, and parents watching here and at home. Over the last week, 3B has prepared an assembly about the news all over the world. We call this our Global Outlook. We feel it's very important, and I'm sure Mr. Sun would agree, that it's important for children at the boarding school and at the day school to understand the news that's going on, that's sculpting our future. 3B has worked very hard on this and had a lot of fun doing so, so please enjoy.
In Hong Kong at the moment, there are pro-democracy protesters walking the streets to oppose Beijing's plan for electoral reform in the Chinese territory and call for the resignation of CY Leung, the chief executive. In 1997, when England gave Hong Kong back to China, there were promises made. These promises are still yet to be formed.
The key demand for the protesters is fully democratic elections to the territory's leader. The protesters walk with umbrellas to protect them from the tear gas they're being threatened with. When the tear gas canisters were opened and the smoke billowed out, Hong Kong's demonstrators only had their umbrellas to protect them.
They call their movement Occupy Central with Love and Peace. This is Hong Kong Central, but there wasn't much love or peace. Riot police on the front line, but behind the smoke, an angry Beijing. They've been planning this for months. Supplies to fuel a sit-in that has no end date. They were ready for the tear gas.
We won't go home! We won't, not only me, all of us here won't go home until we have victory at last.
But there'll be no victory if the police have their way.
Why do you need to use tear gas? They're peaceful crowd. Why do you need to use tear gas?
The more the tear gas, the more the defiance. Tens of thousands outside government headquarters. Police go on strike, they shouted. Lay down your weapons. We have no fear, he chants. Protect the people.
A few minutes ago, the tear gas canisters were going off here and there's still a sting in the throat and in the eyes. But right now, an uneasy standoff between the riot police and the crowd. The only thing I would say is that the crowd seems to be getting anything bigger and angrier. They're stretched all the way in that direction, thousands, and up the street there, on the cross streets and up on the walkways. No sign here that they are heeding the government appeal to go home.
In mainland China, police don't put up with scenes like this. But Beijing has promised to respect Hong Kong's way of life. And that makes them the only Chinese citizens with freedom of speech.
If we miss this chance to fight for ourselves, I think Hong Kong will have no future. That's why we are here.
It feels like a dangerous moment. Who's in charge? The Communist Party, which expects to choreograph all the political drama? Or the demonstrators, who found a common voice and now intend to define their own destiny? Harry Gracie, BBC News, Hong Kong.
The FIFA 2018 FIFA World Cup will be the 21st FIFA World Cup, an international men's football tournament that is scheduled to take place between 14th June and 15 July 2018 in Russia. This will be the first World Cup held in the area of the former Soviet Union. The final tournament will involve 32 national teams, including the host of the nation, assuming the current format of the finals is maintained. The final is expected to take place in Moscow at the Luzhniki Stadium. All the cities are in or just outside European Russia to reduce travel time for the teams in the huge country. The bid evaluation report stated, the Russian bid proposes 13 host cities and 16 stadiums, thus exceeding FIFA's minimum requirement. 3 of the 16 stadiums will be renovated and 13 will be newly constructed.
A 3-year-old boy shot his father and an 8-month pregnant mum. The shooting took place in Albuquerque, New Mexico, on February 2nd. The father said that the son was trying to find his iPad when he stumbled across a loaded handgun. Then, picking the gun off the floor, he shot a bullet which hit me in the hip and my 8-month pregnant girlfriend in the shoulder. At the time, the 3-year-old's 2-year-old's little sister was in the room, but no harm was done to the girl. The police say this happened because of what went on with the past of the boyfriend. That's why the little boy found the gun. There may be charges for the father and mother, and the parents seem recovered in hospital.
Greece has been in the news recently because Greece has gone into debt as a result of being able to borrow cheaply as a member of the European Union. Greece has been borrowing money from the ECB, which is the Europe Central Bank, and the IMF, which is the International Monetary Fund. A total of £188 billion was borrowed. Unemployment is at 25%, and the average wage is £450 a month. The economy has shrunk by 25% since the start of the Eurozone crisis, and their country's debt is 175% of their GDP. If Greece don't come to an agreement with their creditors, they will be ejected from the EU, and this will mean they'll have to revert back to their old currency, the drachma.
In Liberia, in West Africa, they have started to trial vaccines for the Ebola virus. There are 2 vaccines being tested on 12 volunteers from 2 different drug companies. There have been 8,936 deaths in total from Ebola, 3,710 deaths in Liberia, and a total of 22,000 cases. The vaccination is an injection of the Ebola virus that will hopefully trick the body. We don't know yet if the vaccine will offer protection from the disease, though. Even though they are injecting Ebola into the 12 volunteers, it will be impossible for them to catch the virus. There's been a race to find the cure for Ebola, with vaccines and drugs for human testing. Safety trials have already taken place in both the UK and Switzerland. Doctors have also been trialling serum therapy, which is the treatment made from the blood of Ebola survivors.
Since January, nearly 600 cases of Ebola have been confirmed in Guinea, Sierra Leone and Liberia. The meeting held in Ghana shows that the region's health ministries recognise the scale of the outbreak. Working in all 3 affected countries, MSF hopes that this awareness will convert into concrete action because the outbreak is far from under control. The teams in Gekedu in Guinea have treated 130 patients and 31 have recovered, like this young boy.
He's better now. We've just told him that the test results are confirming. He's negative. So now he'll go for his last disinfection shower and then we'll take him back to his village.
Communication is key to combating Ebola, as fear and stigmatization must not prevent the sick from going to health centres. Each time a recovered patient returns home is an opportunity to raise awareness among the community. The sooner a patient receives treatment, the greater the chances of survival.
Last year in May, the armed forces in Thailand were led by the commander of the army. Together they launched a coup, which is when the army takes over the government. The people were told by an announcement on television. It was the 12th coup since 1932.
In 2014, the president of South Sudan had to dismiss the entire committee of the country, including the vice president. A few days later, conflict started because an angry ex-vice president set his rebel forces against the government's army to make what seems to be an attempt at revenge.
It is thought that over 10,000 people have been uprooted throughout this conflict, and many of those have been killed. There have been many efforts to make a ceasefire agreement between the two sides, as earlier efforts at a ceasefire have failed. It's unfair that over 10,000 people have lost their homes because someone wants to get revenge.
In this presentation, we will be showing you some facts about Auschwitz. Today we have been celebrating 70 years of liberation of Auschwitz. The Russians liberated it. In all, a horrific 1.1 million people died during the 4.5 years of Auschwitz's existence. 1 million of them were Jewish men, women, and children. Other groups of people who died including Polish political prisoners, Soviet prisoners of war, gypsy families, and gays, people with disabilities, and prisoners of conscience or religious faith, including several hundred Jehovah's Witnesses. And the staggering 60 million Reichsmarks, equivalent to £125 million today, was generated for the Nazi state by slave labour at Auschwitz, which means all of the prisoners' money was taken. Of a total of about 7,000 staff at Auschwitz, only 730 were ever punished. Many went on to build good careers, including one man who became head of resources for a large German company, which in my opinion is awful. They were inhumane, deserve no justice.
Lately, the Japanese government has been arguing over the beheading of Kenji Goto, the journalist who went to Syria to help the children as he believed in a world without war. Shinzo Abe, the equivalent of a prime minister for Japan, said they had tried everything, including a prisoner swap for Kenji and a captured pilot. Also, as Valentine's Day is coming up, I thought I should mention that a group of Japanese revolutionaries want to crush St. Valentine's Day, as they claim it is an attempt by oppressive chocolate capitalists to exploit consumers. Another fact about Japan on Valentine's Day is that the women actually buy the men the present, but 3 weeks later he has to return a gift 3 times the price. Kiyate, Kuriete, Arigato. Thank you for listening.
North Korea is a small country and is in the northern part of the Korean peninsula. It borders China and South Korea. There has been some concerns about North Korea in recent days. CNN has released an article saying that North Korea has invented a new type of cutting-edge anti-ship missile. This could put a major threat on UK and allied warships. But experts say it is a newer version of the Russian missile. At the beginning of January, the US put sanctions on North Korea for their involvement in the Sony Pictures hack. This released confidential information and files. North Korea deny being involved and say that they had nothing to do with the attack. It is not clear how much the North Koreans had to do with this, but they did play a large role and have been sanctioned, but it would not affect their military.
Crippling one of the world's most powerful entertainment studios. Sony Pictures Entertainment tells CNN it's still investigating what it calls a very sophisticated cyber attack. The FBI is on the case. 5 of its new movies, including Fury and the remake of Annie, were posted on illicit websites. And very sensitive, confidential information started to appear online, including the multi-million-dollar salaries of top Sony executives, social security numbers of employees. Some staffers had to work with pen and paper.
These people are prodding and provoking Sony, and they're doing it deliberately. This is not kind of thing where they just want to go in and steal some movies. They're trying to stick it to Sony and to particular Sony executives.
A group calling itself the Guardians of Peace has claimed responsibility for the hack, but it's not clear if that group was really behind it. A source at Sony tells us the company is looking into the possibility that hackers working for North Korea could be behind the attack. Sony's upcoming release of the movie The Interview, a comedy about a plot to kill North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, is cited as a possible provocation.
You want us to kill the leader of North Korea?
Yes.
The North Korean regime has called the movie terrorism, an act of war, a moral attack on its leadership. Analysts say the North Koreans have a dedicated hacking capability that they've been working on for a few years.
And they've largely targeted commercial sites in South Korea. They haven't really gone after the United States as much, so this would be new if the reports are true.
The Interview was not one of the Sony movies leaked out by the attack. One cybersecurity expert says that may point away from Kim's regime.
North Korea would be wanting to attack this particular movie and the people responsible for this particular movie. This is a much broader attack.
Now, there were reports today that some Sony employees have gotten emails from hackers threatening family members of the Sony employees. We asked Sony about that. We just, a couple of seconds ago, got a statement saying, quote, "We understand that some of our employees have received an email claiming to be from GOP." That's the Guardians of Peace, the group that claimed responsibility for this hacking attack. The statement says, "We are aware of the situation and are working with law enforcement." Well, so there may be something to these reports that Sony employees got threatening emails.
Pretty chilling when you think about it.
Thank you very much for watching our assembly, and we hope you learn a lot more about the news around the world that's shaping yours and our future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed, 3B, and to Jimmy Medea for stage managing what was the most informative 20-minute trip around the world. And thank goodness that Jimmy is quite adept at using his IT knowledge to make sure that all these links and various newsreels fitted in beautifully. But it really does bring home to you the importance of travel. A number of these places I've been to, the headmaster, of course, very well-traveled man in his own right, knows many of the places that we've touched on this afternoon. I've been in Thailand. When there has been a military coup, it's quite scary. Although the army are there to protect you, you still wonder whether you're going to get out of the airport and onto a plane and away. I've been to Korea. I once went to Korea for the weekend on the headmaster's instructions to go and meet some agents and some families, and it was a fascinating trip. So I hope that you've learnt quite a lot about the importance of travel. It's a very important aspect to the life of a Buxwood student. And this weekend, a number of Buxwood students are setting off for a tour of China. They're going out to Hong Kong, and then they're going over to Tokyo, to Japan. There are other trips planned for the rest of the year. Form 1 getting ready to go out to Florence and Venice. Form 2 getting ready to go out to Prague. And so there's a whole list of various venues to which Buxwood students will travel in due course. The headmaster and I often describe travel as the fourth dimension to education. It is incredibly important because by traveling you break down misconceptions about other cultures, other religions, other races, other nations, and it gives you a focus on how that country actually operates. It gives you a look into its geography, its history, its exports, its imports, its religions, and this is why we encourage it so much. Going back to my original point about the importance of young people keeping up with the news, I think it's vitally important that you do, ladies and gentlemen, all look at the news on occasions. In fact, you should look at it daily, and then go into Google Map, type in the country that's being discussed or the city, and find out exactly where it is. Now, when I was at school a number of years ago, geography was terribly important, and we had to learn about countries, capital cities, mountain ranges, rivers, the relief, which is the landscape, the exports, the imports, the natural resources. And by doing that, because we didn't have the opportunities to travel quite so much in these days, we learned quite a lot about other countries. You're very lucky you live in an international school. You're sharing ideas and concepts with children from 40 different nations all over the world. So you're able to gain an insight into their lives. And just this weekend, one of our junior school prefects, Campbell Marlowe Eastwood, has been invited out to Switzerland, to the home of Elias Schmidt, another junior school prefect. And this is an excellent way of gaining an insight into the lands and cultures of your peers, your fellow students at Buxwood. I know the headmaster is terribly keen that day students at Buxwood, and particularly in the junior school, think about inviting international students who are living at school, who live at Buxwood, to their homes for Sunday lunch and for a meal, and perhaps to go paintballing or laser quest, and get to know a little bit about our Sunday lunch routine, for example, or our entertainment facilities in the local towns and cities. So it really is a swapping, it's a symbiotic relationship. We get to know about other cultures, and our international students learn far more about our own culture here in the UK, which is why many families overseas like to send their children and their young men and women to Buxwood. On a completely different matter, we had the reading, the formal reading of the 5 weekly assessment results in the sports hall this morning, a very formal occasion, managers in gowns and juniors sitting very quietly listening to how they've got on. The headmaster set you a little bit of holiday homework, and it is this. He wants you to do 5 things that you haven't already done, new ideas, new experiences, and try and do it during the half-term week, which begins on Monday. You won't be at school on Monday, it's half-term. So try and do 5 additional things during that week and make a note of them, record them, and then hand them in to me, and I will see that they go upstairs to the headmaster. That's very important. It was also very, very pleasing to see that none of the junior school students scored any less than a 2 grade, which means that you've been working hard. And there were a great many students who scored a grade 1. Think of 1 as first class. Think of 5 as 5th class. No student in the junior school got below a 2 or a 2.9. We didn't go into dead man's gulch. We didn't go into dangerous territory, because if you do ride into dangerous territory, then you have to go on to report until your standard improves. And it's one of the ways that your teachers and the managers can keep an eye on your progress and assess how you're doing. So all in all, junior school, a very good set of results this term, and we'll be looking for an even better set of results next time. So I'm going to hand over now to my musical colleagues. And Mr. Wade, if you like to introduce, please, the musical item this afternoon. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Headmaster, Mr. Cassidy, Junior School, Senior Prefects and Junior Prefects. Guests, young Charlie Merton is going to sing an old song, You're My World, accompanied by Mr. Sacha Trochet. Charlie.
You're my world, you're every breath I take. You're my world, you're every move I make. Other eyes see the stars up in the sky, but for me they shine within your eyes as the trees reach for the sun above. So my arms reach out to you for love. With your hand resting in mine, I feel a power so divine. You're my world, you are my night and day. You're my world, you're every prayer I pray. If our love ceases to be, then it's the end of my world for me. As the trees reach for the sun above, so my arms reach out to you for love. With your hand resting in mine, I feel a power so divine. You're my world, you are my night and day. You're my world, you're every prayer I pray. If our love ceases to be, then it's the end of my world, end of my world, end of my world for me.
Dusty Springfield, Eat Your Heart Out. I think, was that a Dusty Springfield song? Cilla Black? Wonderful. Charlie Mepham, super, well done. Excellent. Come up here while I shake your hand. Great performance. Yeah, really good. It's commendation time for those of you watching at home. We distribute quite a number of headmasters' commendations each week for a variety of different purposes, mainly for house points. Secondly, for superb work, which has been sent up to the headmaster by various subject teachers, and also for helping the school in so many different ways, representing the school at open mornings and at external exhibitions. So I'm very pleased to be able to award quite a few of these commendations this afternoon. I'm going to call you up in groups of 4. If you'd like to come up and collect your commendation and then sit down again. So we have, for house points, Evelyn Ramus. We have an academic award for Eric Sars, who has just gone back to Romania for half term. We have a gold for Katerina Chish, a gold for Jonathan Orr, and a gold for Amber Lily Malloy Golding. A gold to Amanda Yang for academic work, Stanley Cope for academic work, Finity Sohn, academic work, Poppy Pittock for academic achievement. Adiola Kofawaradi, academic achievement. Amanda Yang, academic achievement. A bronze for house points to Healy Ramus, and a bronze to Florence Gidney for house points. Leah Slater, bronze for house points. Billy Marshall, a bronze for house points. Charlie Curran, a bronze for house points. And Dimitru Chish, a bronze for house points. I'm now going to ask Jimmy Medea if he will give out the house points.
In the junior school, in 5th place, with 54 house points, is Rowling. In 4th place, with 55 house points, is Milne. In 3rd place, with 63 house points, is Wells. In 2nd place, with 69 house points, is Kipling. And in 1st place, with 80 house points, is Schoolhouse.
Noticed an enormous smile on the headmaster's face there when Schoolhouse came first. Yet again, well done, Schoolhouse. A lot of good work going on in there at the moment. Quite a few house points around and good work I notice in the classroom. So that's good. Keep it up, Schoolhouse. Well done. The roll of honor we will postpone until the newsletter goes out a week on Sunday. There'll be no newsletter on Sunday because it's half term. So I will be inviting your teachers to submit names for the roll of honor during the half-term week. What I would like us to do now is to just bow our heads while we say the school prayer. Let us pray and bow our heads and thoughts so that in the words and instructions that follow, we have the opportunity to interpret them in a way that will help us to develop as individuals. A few words to help focus and encourage the minds of those who teach and care for you. Let us remember that at Buckswood, every child has a talent. It is our job to firstly find that talent and to encourage each and every child to be the best at what they do. Here at Buckswood, it is our responsibility to cast the net of opportunity so wide that any talent gets a chance to develop and to ensure that many of these talents should be just as highly ranked as academic scholarship. The concept of the average pupil must give way to the concept of an infinite variety of youngsters heading for an infinite variety of successes. And secondly, as I say the words of our school prayer, putting aside which religion or culture we are from, we should all focus on the values that we as individuals and as a school stand for. As we end this week, remind us to be trustworthy, honest, reliable, and kind. Help us to keep our promises and to strive for success. Help us today to keep our tempers and to control our tongues, to keep our thoughts from wandering and our minds from straying, to ensure that we have no enemies, but deal with any problems through clear dialogue. So bring us to the end of today with nothing to be sorry for and nothing left undone. Amen. Headmaster, that concludes the Junior Assembly. I'd like to invite you to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Cassidy, Junior School. An excellent message from 3B. In fact, my class thoroughly enjoy listening to the music at the end of your prep times. We are just a little bit below you as you do your preps upstairs in the classroom by the art room there. There's a famous saying that Gandhi said, civilization is the celebration of our differences. And within this room here, we have many different people from many different parts of the world. And that makes us all very special people. And the message 3B gave us today was a very poignant and important message for us here in an international school. And I hope that through what you've seen and heard today, and through listening to the school prayer being said, that you take on board the fundamentals that underlie what is good about Buckswood, and that is internationalism as a whole. The world out there is a big, dangerous place, and we live in this lovely cocoon on this estate. But I hope in years to come, when you grow up to be big, wise people, you can go out into the world there and teach them a thing or two about what it is to be tolerant and to understand. Now, I don't know if it's normally protocol in Junior Assembly to do happy birthday wishes. However, I think that as we have got the head of school here today, it is actually, it's going to be tomorrow, but actually his birthday. It's going to be 18 years old. So he reaches that stage in his life when he becomes a man. Okay, he's the boss. And the head of school plays a very important role on your behalf that maybe you don't actually all know and or appreciate that he does it. But he holds the moral fabric of everything that is good at Buckswood in his hands. He is there to represent you at any meetings that I may have with the senior managers and or representatives of the school. So as he's going to be 18, maybe we can do a quick rendition. I don't know if that's appropriate, is it? Have you got a quick rendition of Happy Birthday to our head of school? So are we all in good voice, everybody? Yes, we're just going to, wait a minute, Mr. Wade, we're going to tune, everyone, tune up, please. Happy birthday, happy birthday, dear head of school. Happy birthday to you. One day you'll grow up to be big and tall, just like him, and hopefully wear a red gown. Mr. Cassidy, thank you very much. Have an excellent half term, folks.
Thank you very much, Headmaster. I'd like to add to the Headmaster's wish there that you enjoy your half term. Please stay safe. Remember to help your family. Remember to work hard, and remember your holiday assignment, which is to try and experience 5 new things and to write about these experiences, bring them to school a week on Monday. May I thank the senior student officers for appearing today. Head of school, happy birthday. I hope you have a great day. Headmaster, thank you very much. And I'm going to invite the headmaster and senior prefects, head of school, to leave before I release the juniors. Thank you very much for coming along. Good luck.